Morning, Jack.
Sammy,
Can you hear me okay?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So you've
So,
got the great library or cathedral or whatever that is.
yeah, it's a different picture of the same place that I had described earlier. So, how you been, Jack?
um, actually, just let's just say steady.
Steady is better than not.
Yes.
Out
When
of
you're flying it,
curiosity, go ahead.
when you're when you're flying an airplane, steady is good.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, Jack, what is your blood pressure these days?
Um, this morning, for example, it was 112 over 68.
Wow, that's amazing.
Well, a difference between you and me is I don't drink coffee. I don't do any caffeinated. The only methylxanthines I get are from dark chocolate, and I
Oh.
don't consume that much of it.
And what's your heart rate?
Well, I am basically most of the time I am dehydrated. So today, for example, it was 88.
Oh, that's reasonably. Hey, Kayla. Hey, Stacey. We see Stacey. Hey, Stacey, I don't even know if you've met Jack ever before.
Oh,
But
she has.
oh, okay. All right.
Give me a
My
break.
memory's not that good then.
Yeah, well, it's what you get for having a heart attack.
Okay. Actually, let me tell you the longer story about that. For the first 2 days, they thought it was a heart attack because, and by the way, I'm just learning simple things when this happens to me for the first time. So maybe you guys know about this, but there's some test they call the troponin test. And when they tested me the first day, which was about almost exactly a week ago, okay, like 165 or 164 hours ago, troponin level was high. I can give you the exact number, but they just said it was high, okay? So a day later, they tested it and said it was high. And then a day later, they tested it and it said it was low slash normal. Now, if all three had stayed high, they would have determined that it was a heart attack. But because it came down again, they actually said, okay, now we can conclusively say it was not a heart attack. So I was only relaying what they were telling me, and so I thought I had a heart attack. But evidently, it was something else that was still serious, but not as serious as a heart attack. So I thank everyone for your concern. And I'm actually glad, of course, that it was not a real heart attack. So I still need to understand more about this Tripodin thing. But that's what I know from what the doctor said at the discharge meeting and also in the notes. Um, had any of you heard about troponin before?
I just looked it up.
Yeah, Troponin, I think.
Yep. Looks for certain types of protein troponin in your bloodstream.
Oh.
These types of troponin only occur in heart muscle cells and only enter the blood because of heart muscle damage.
So since you're looking at it, initially the reading's 0.064, and when it got back down to an acceptable range, it was 0.04. Now, I don't know if normal and healthy means 0.04 or whether it means 0.00000. So I still don't know that. Anyway, uh, let's see, what do I know now? Oh, the reason I asked you, Jack, about your blood pressure is because, and Stacey, you're not going to believe this, because I didn't believe it when I first saw it. When I was hauled off to the ambulance, and literally they said, "We need to take you," and I said, "Do I have to go?" And he said, "No, you don't have to go, but there's a good chance you're going to die if you don't go." It's because when they hooked me up and tested my blood pressure, it was 212 over 170. And I'd never seen such a high blood pressure ever before. And not only was it high, but my left eye hurt a lot. So today, my left eye is not hurting nearly as much. It's probably at a pain level of maybe 0 to 1/2 on a scale of 0 to 10. And I still can't really see as well as before, but it's getting really, really much better day by day. So I have a follow-up with ophthalmology on Monday morning. And if that goes well, then I'll be able to drive. Until then, my ex-wife Dorothy has been driving me everywhere. She's been really
Oh,
very,
nice.
very helpful and supportive through all of this, as have been my kids. And so I look forward to reacquiring my driver's license from my family on Monday.
The web search doesn't say anything about 3 days.
They just spread the test over a while. I don't know that 3 days was mandatory. In fact, I would even guess that sometimes they only do one or two tests and they say, "Yep, it's high, you had a heart attack." I was guessing that sometimes they do that. Not always do they actually have someone for 3 days.
How do you spell that thing in your blood?
Proponent.
Tropopo,
TRO?
yeah,
Yeah.
troponin, Nin.
Thank you.
Google likes it.
Yeah. Anyway, good to see you again, Stacey. Sorry it had to be something like this that brought you back.
Maybe we'll have a one-on-one at some point.
Uh-oh. I'm scared now.
No, don't be scared. I can't stay too long. I actually had another call at 11, but I said I would
Uh-huh.
come late because I
Yeah.
wanted to check in with you.
Yeah. Thank you, Stacey.
You're welcome. You
And
sound
thanks
good.
for yeah, I think Kayla and Jack can definitely attest. Last Saturday, on this call, it was right after the injury happened. I think I sounded much, much fainter, shall I say. But Jack and
Just say
Kayla can
it's
probably
down at the level of dog shit.
Well, I could tell from you sent me that voice recording, so I can hear the difference from that.
yeah. Yeah, I sent that from the hospital.
Right.
And Kayla probably told you, but I thank Kayla a lot and Jack because we were on the call last week and they both encouraged me to call 911. And I promised them I would, but I said I want to take a nap first. And so not long thereafter, I heard a knock on the door. So Kayla had called them for me.
Well, that's good.
Oh yeah, Sam, when you said nap, oh man, I was like, no, don't go to sleep. Yeah.
Wow, I hadn't even thought of that.
Well, to be fair, because you said you were adamant about calling, and I
I
wanted
said I
to give
would. I
you a little,
promised you guys I
yeah,
would. Okay.
and I wanted to give you a little bit of time, you know. I went to make food for my kid first, but then shortly after I called, I was like, okay, there's
Mm.
been enough time. It was like a good 30 minutes.
Anyway, I guess that wraps it up. Thanks. See you guys next week.
By the
Anyway,
way,
yeah.
I'm washing my face. If you guys hear anything, I just wanted to keep the mic on, just in case you guys asked me something. Um, I have tomorrow's Mother's Day, and I want to do like an early celebration today.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, I don't like to
That's
be
right.
out when everybody's out. So
Two people-y?
yeah, I want to watch Devil Wears Prada 2 at this like fancy theater where they have like a server at your
Oh, I
chair
love
and
those. The eye
yeah.
candy. That's fun.
So
Wait,
I
Oh,
booked
you're
the
is
go- you're
11:30.
you're going to a theater?
The movie theater. So
I think Jack's only asking, well, I'm asking because I thought, that's about as peoply as it gets, right?
Yep, 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 yep.
well, I
Secondly,
mean,
Yeah.
secondly, um, we're still in both the flu and COVID season.
ooh.
I don't go out of the house without a mask on. Full stop. And when I go to the health clinic, I've got one of those uh, super masks on.
Interestingly enough, I'm seeing more people wearing masks again. Not a
Yeah.
lot.
Well,
Very, very few actually, but it's
well,
less,
it
more common.
let's just say they're the smart ones.
I'm sure.
When I go to the San Diego Zoo, I wear my Uber mask, and it's amazing. I will see in the hundreds of people I will encounter, maybe 10 have a mask, and they're all Asian.
Asian people have always worn masks, though.
Yeah.
Well, they wear them for the real reason of protecting others from them. And now it's you have to protect yourself from them, from the others.
I remember when I was a kid in Taiwan, we wore masks all the time. And really, it was because there was a lot of exhaust and pollution. And
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the other reason. Yes.
yeah. So every day when we got back inside the house, we'd have to gargle, we'd have to wash our hands, wash our face.
Yep.
That was
Yep.
part of the hygiene.
And there's different kinds of masks. Some of them are just cloth, and some of them are so-called surgical masks, which basically are, when you look at them under a microscope, they're microfibers that generate electrostatic charge. But when I was doing leukemia and and I was the guy that was a compromised host, I wear a mask in public all the time. And an e-room nurse told me that in the hospitals they routinely change those masks every couple hours because the moisture in your breath breaks the electrostatic bonds, and it becomes less effective.
So it's the electrostatic bonds that keep like the virus out
Yep,
and the moisture. Okay, perfect.
the moisture defeats it.
Those are the surgical masks you were talking
Those are
about,
the
right?
surgery. They're the blue
Yeah.
masks that you saw in ER and so forth.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't like those masks. I always do the cloth ones because they seem to absorb the breath a lot better. There's nothing worse than smelling your breath.
well, I hear you, except that they do nothing for the viruses.
Oh, really?
That's
Yeah,
the point. You missed the
you
point.
need the
Sur- sur-
electrostatic charge.
surgical masks are there for a reason, and if you go with the if you go with a cloth mask, you ought to have about four of them layered. And
Oh,
I can
Yeah.
remember it. I can remember at the height of COVID, um, my physicians would wear two masks. They had a surgical mask underneath, and then one of the Uber masks over the top of it. They weren't taking any chances.
For comparison, while I was in the hospital for 4 days, I met probably five or six doctors and probably somewhere like 30 or 40 nurses. There were so many. And I probably remember maybe 4 or 5 times I said, "Oh, this person's wearing a mask." So that was in a place where, oh, by the way, I considered the level of healthcare there was really pretty high. It's amazing how regular they are with tests, how thorough they are, how good their explanations were, whether they asked, hey, do you need anything else? I was pretty impressed by this regional hospital, for the record.
Well, well, what I observe, what I observe at Kaiser, and I see a variety of doctors. Some of them, including my GP, don't wear masks.
Mhm.
And if anybody on the planet needs the mask, it's the GP
Mhm. Yeah.
because they see everybody. Whereas my nephrology department, they won't come near you without their mask on. Full stop. They and they're just seeing people who are dying from kidney disease, not not they didn't come in off the street with COVID or flu or something. We're there for another reason. Um, my GI doc wore a mask, but my neurologist doesn't. I can understand the specialty docs not being quite as concerned, but a GI, a GP, my God, they get everything off the street.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Anyway, I hope.
Kaiser, in its infinite wisdom, put up these big plastic fences in front of the check-in counters. And as soon as COVID relaxed, they took them down. And I thought, "Yeah, what a bunch of idiots."
So how have the rest of you been for last week/months?
I have
I'm
something.
awesome. Go ahead, Kayla.
No, Stacey, you go first. We haven't heard you or seen you for a while.
No,
Yeah.
I was just gonna say I'm awesome, but I wanted to ask a technology question.
Go for it.
My question is, I know you can sync up like your phone to your computer, but is there any way, like, is there anything yet on the market, or are you even thinking in terms of limited access? Like, I don't want to sync up my phone to my computer, but sometimes I do want my computer to talk to my phone. Like right now, if I'm working on a document and I want to upload a picture and I only have it on my phone, I get off the computer, I go to my phone, and I work on the document from there in order to do it. It's a pain in the ass. Is there a
If
way? Go ahead.
if your phone has Bluetooth and your computer has Bluetooth, they'll talk.
So, how do I access that?
Well, you have to turn on the Bluetooth and then go to its control panel on both your computer and their phone
Uh-huh.
and notice the other one and
Okay.
click on it.
And will anybody else in the vicinity, like nearby to
No,
me?
no.
Okay. Thank you.
Now I usually don't. It's such a fuss to do that. I mean, you got to click on here and click on there. That I just email myself the pictures.
Well, yeah. Well, you know what? The reason I'm bringing it up is because one of my interests has always been to influence the people doing the designing of the computers so that they reflect the needs of users like me. And
Yep.
I wish there were a simple way, like right now, like Jack, I sent you that AI analysis that my friend put my thing through, and you said it only came up in HTML. Now I know
It,
when he
it
sent, go
it
ahead.
came up in the raw page. I couldn't get it to paint as the HTML.
So I had the same problem at first, and I was like, I can see it on my phone. I couldn't go through to the different pages that had different visuals on it. And then on my computer, I couldn't do it at all. It was like you said. And he said, download it on your computer and then open it. And as soon as I did
Ah,
that, it opened.
I could have tried that, but I chose not to.
Well, and funny enough, because I was sitting with my mother at the time when it came in, I said, if you had been somebody else, I would have given you the instructions that I just did. But I was like, Jack of anybody would know how to do it if he
Yeah,
wanted
and
to.
I do, but to be honest with you, my hard disk is creeping on over full,
No, it's
and
fine.
so
Jack,
I do less and less downloading. But having said that, yes, you're right. That is the solution.
so anyway, my point is my whole system is based on choice. And part of the way I assess that is I'll make an invitation. If somebody doesn't follow up, that's fine. I'm really, really good with that. But to answer your question, what am I doing and how am I feeling? I'm feeling great because I finally have, yeah, like I feel really good. And that's it.
So are you in Florida or New York or where now,
I'm
Stacey?
in New York at the moment.
Your old
Actually,
place
I'm
or a
here
new
for a
place?
while. I'm in, here. I mean, I look a wreck, but I'll come on camera for a minute. I'm in my, what, what
Same
I'm call,
house,
what I'm calling
Spire.
my studio.
spiral
Okay.
staircase and all. Yes.
Spiral staircase and all. And Sam, I'd like to send you the same thing I sent to Jack.
Okay.
And if I could, so yesterday I actually used some program called Manus,
That
which
is
the I,
actually rather high tech of you because Manus is not the most popular AI, and only a few people know what Manus is.
well, the irony is my whole learning the game part is all based on letters and shifting power dynamics. And so, and that's how I play. So Doug Breitbart, like we're on the same thing. And anyway, so like the irony is not lost on me that I'm using something called MAN, us, and that's where the fun and
Yeah.
games comes in. Um,
Yeah.
but
Well,
so anyway, so I went on and I just really quick, and they're not great pictures, but I created 3 pictures specifically for GCC that would be like my pitch, just 3 pictures. So I'm going to see if I can figure out how to share them to you because again, I came here because of the content creation part of it. I want to get back
Sam, here's your
to
reminder from Sam.
sorry.
I want to get back to to like making art. I don't want to do systems design, but what I send to Jack is systems design, and according to AI, it's friggin' good. And I want you to be able to look at the whole thing. And actually, I couldn't sleep yesterday. And for whatever reason, the YouTube god sent me a recording of the canonical debate lab. And so after watching that recording, I sent Marc Antoine the same thing I sent to Jack. So anyway, so it's for what I've been working on for 10 years. I just didn't have the language, like I didn't have any of the ways to pull anything together. So let me get you the picture because I'm excited. I'll just send it through my phone.
Anyway, I'm gonna uber geek you out. Jack was right about what he said about Bluetooth. But when Bluetooth wakes up and sees another Bluetooth out there, some of them say, "Hey, good to see you. Here's what I know how to do." And they kind of negotiate that among themselves. Okay. So I was just curious whether your use case was covered by that.
You're talking to Jack, right?
No, I'm talking to you
Oh, I'm not
because
going
I
to
was,
do that. I'm not
yeah.
motivated enough to do that. My
No,
game's
I'm just
about
saying
choice.
that's what Bluetooth does. It tries to be smart about, say, hey, I know how to do this, but I don't know how to do that. And that's the negotiation that happens when Bluetooth devices talk to each other. Okay,
Sam,
I geeked
I
you guys
just
out
sent,
now. All right.
wait. I
Yeah.
just sent you the picture in chat. Can
In
you,
chat. Okay, let me take a
if
look at
you
chat.
can put it up, then I can just in in like a sentence, just give you the overall. This is specifically for like Doug Breitbart and Tammy and you, like the
Okay, you're
original.
talking about Zoom chat here?
No. I'm sorry. I sent it to you in Facebook Messenger.
All right. Didn't see it.
So Kayla, what I learned is that I always thought
She sent a
hacking is
photo.
like a bad thing. Like I think of like bad hacker. I'm looking at her picture like it's her. So it's like bad hackers. But hacking, the way I do it is a good thing. I just like create my own solution, which is kind of exciting. And that,
Let me send this.
Jack, that gets the learner in me going. That's the
Well, so this is all good news. Hacking has has two sides to it. It's a fork in the road. There's what children do when you ask them to program the VCR. You know what I mean? And that's the primary reason for having kids was to program the VCR. Who the fuck wants to learn how to do that? And the kids, my son just ran over and did it. You know what I mean? That's hacking. Whereas, hacking into somebody's account, that's the other fork in the road.
so my
Wait, do you guys see anything?
it should be just a picture. Well, did
Is
you
it
see it?
black?
It's just a cartoon picture.
Yeah, I
It's
see the
just
picture, but did I share properly or is it just black?
no,
No, it's blank.
Now do you see anything?
nope. Unless you scroll, because I see some like blue diagonal lines at the bottom of the screen.
Oh, then it's the video not syncing properly. Sorry about that.
Jack just said something about, oh, so
Okay, anyway, I was just putting it into the chat for Zoom so that Kayla and Jack can see it. And I just have it on my screen, but Zoom is not sharing properly. So sorry about that.
it's three cartoon pictures. And one of them is
3.141. Yes.
well, so the first picture is a tornado with an eye in the middle of the storm. And that's the
Mhm.
part of me that addresses feelings and emotions. And I do that elsewhere. I don't do it here with you guys. That's something totally different. The second picture is the one that has to do with my whole economic plan. And it's really fluffy clouds that are going to be so full that they can sprinkle rain on all the people, but the cloud. And the third picture is an apple with a smartphone imposed and 3.14 because the theme of everything. So I should just step back a little bit and say that this whole, well, not the whole thing, we start in the middle because the middle is now. The left of the timeline is the past. The right of the timeline is the future. I'm in the center, here and now. I bring the divine spark, the feminine, which will help address time and space and distance. And I bring measurement. Men measure a lot. They count a lot. So this is about money and music and math and whimsy. And that's where I miss Barry. And he was very punny. And that's where wordplay comes in. And the metaphors that I've been introducing in different places were designed so that everybody's metaphors, whether it's the mycelial network or the guilds or whatever it is, they will all work within the system. But if you want to think, so there was an email that Kevin had, it was called something about commodity. And I have documents that I could send that give you a prologue. I used AI to create a prologue so that it can give you a little paragraph and then I can start from where we are in this moment. But since I'm not, I'll just tell you basically, it started with Kevin putting in a short email saying he was inspired from the call we just got off of. And he put in an article he wrote about what if we had an abundant economy. And at first I didn't respond other than a heart. But then after Klaus put in his thing and he used a certain phrase, I was like, I have to use this opportunity. And so I introduced Matthew Fox, who's the author of Original Blessing, but I asked them if they were aware of his book, Creation Spirituality. And I asked the question, because I believe capitalism is a part of the problem as well as misogyny and, all power dynamics. And that created a whole by all accounts, a very interesting thread. And new people came in that don't usually talk, and there was a lot of engagement, blah, blah, blah. And then I stopped and I said, I use these for writing prompts because this is how I get my space that I feel I'm allowed, like emotionally, this is the adaptation I created for me, my process that may or may not help other people that struggle with different pieces that are similar to different pieces, because I look at everything fractally. So I look at the smallest pieces instead of the bigger ones in order to build like Legos. So where am I now? So I am basically, let me talk to you in song. This magical mystical girl is asking you to come and play. Asking you to come and play. Why won't you play? Okay. So it would tell a story in song. I'm not going to do that here. That's not the point. So that's it. That's all I have to say for now.
Okay.
But I want to
And
do content creation.
did Kevin and you, was that out of OGM or some other conversation space?
I can send you everything because I created documents specifically to catch Sam up. It's like I know the doc. So remember the whole thing with not wanting to eat a sandwich when you're not hungry? Remember that whole problem? This system is designed to address that. So I will send you the documents you need. And then if you want more, you can follow your own path. So while Jack's designing like learning systems for kids, mine does that too. But on another level, there's I'm trying to create the video ecosystem for us. So this would be like the teacher training ecosystem where we're going to have fun, where only if your own motivation drives you to learn will you take the next step. Because my system's based on choice, where your decision is not going to stop me, but we can still collaborate.
Okay,
And we
good.
can play elsewhere. Like I will find a way to play with you. I promise. And if
Okay.
not, you'll be biting off your own nose to spite your own face.
Okay.
Puns intended all the time.
Okay. All right.
Stacey, the picture is really nice. It's really good.
Yeah,
It
I love it.
But I have to say, it's absolutely not perfect because I wasn't looking to be perfect because I'm not a pussy. Back, I used to be a pussy. I used to have to be perfect. No more, but it's good enough. As my people used to say, it's sufficient. So my thing is very with I'm doing the creation story. So when the writing that I'm going to send to Sam, you'll see it's all about like my character was Anastasia from Written in the Stars. So one more thing, instead of the context changing in all different stories, the difference is the surrounding is changing, but the character is true. And Jack, that's where it's parallels and mirrors what you're doing. But the difference is, I heard somebody on the canonical call say something about ego, and sometimes ego's good, and I kind of agree with him. So where this is a little different but complementary is state me. I've developed my character. I know who Stacey is very well. I bring myself in my truest, most genuine form wherever I go. There's many different parts of me. I have different tones and but I'm always me. So whether I'm the character of Anastasia who comes here from Symphonia, or whether I'm the character Anastasia that waited outside the gates of the castle, or whether I'm I have there's one song, it's a solid. So I have computers in my DNA. Do you know Saul Krongelb? He held some IBM patents. And so I have a song which is based, it's called Hello, it's to the tune of Hello Dolly, but it's Hello Solly. And it's the place where we create technology. And it's really fun. But anyway, you can tell I'm excited. So forgive me for going on and
yes,
on, but
I can tell. You're in the brightest mood I can ever recall.
yes,
Very cool. I'll look for that batch of dots.
yes. I'll find the perfect one for you.
And thanks, Sam, for posting the image.
Mhm.
That really helped.
Mhm.
Oh, good. Thank you,
And oh, by
Sam.
the way, when you say working fractally and looking at the atomic level, or I forget whether that was the word you used, um,
I didn't use it.
that does mirror the way I was thinking about COI. I don't know if you remember those conversations, but
I'm
rather
sure it
than,
mirrors it. I have no doubt it mirrors it.
well, just that, we're both looking at what happens at the micro that can create the larger thing that both of us want. And so the micro piece that I was going after were what were those little micro shifts that an individual would have to go through in order to create a better society, right? And so I'm going to still think about this whole panel of art, but the shift that I was looking for started in an individual with asking the question of themselves, what does good mean? That was my little micro piece of DNA that started my little microstructure of how a human being could adjust as they and their peers examine their own behavior.
That's the
Just
eye of the
started to make that
tornado
connect.
part. That's the section. So that goes in a different section. That goes in the eye of the tornado part, as opposed to the Apple and smartphone part.
Okay, good. Then,
Speaking of the micro level, keep in mind that Carl Sagan said that we are all stardust.
yep.
And my
That-
personal astrophysicist, Neil deGrasse Tyson, takes it further. and walks us through the steps. The stardust is really the metaphor for a boatload of chemicals required for life that were made inside of stars that exploded bazillions of years ago. And throughout these gigantic dust clouds, which gravity being what it is, caused them to start swirling and forming galaxies, and inside the galaxies, smaller miniature galaxies, that are the sun and the stars and the sun and the planets. And it's that dust that gave us the chemicals of all living creatures on this planet.
And this is where I put in Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young's song, We Are Stardust.
Yep.
And so that's the song that goes with it, which sort of creates the frame and the tone and the we're in
Yep.
tune. We are
And
stardust.
when you realize that we're just stardust, you have to ask, how are we different? I mean, as deGrasse Tyson points out, when the astronauts went out to the moon and looked back at the Earth, they didn't see lines like you see on a globe. Everything that you know and see is human invention, including something called race. There is no such thing as race. We're all stardust. Now, we grew individuality because of where we live. If we all came from the great savanna of Pangaea, then technically speaking, we're all Africans. But as we began to explode out of the savanna into Europe, and as Pangaea broke up across the divide, that was an icy, it was an ice, there was an ice pack between Russia and Alaska. And that's how people first invaded what became known as the Americas. We all came from the same goddamn place. And the only thing that changed us was how Charles Darwin's evolutionary processes caused us to form micromutations that allowed us to survive. When you get to the northern climes, you don't need black skin. In fact, it's counterproductive. So the people who survived were ever more the people who had slightly lighter skin. They're the ones that got to make the babies. So ultimately, you had the albinos of Finland and so forth. But we're not different. We're the same goddamn stardust. And why people insist on race is just the height of ignorance. Ethnicity is one thing. Ethnicity comes from where you grew up. It's a cultural thing. And if you grew up, for example, by migrating by boat out of, I don't know, Malaysia to the Philippines. The Philippines were originally Malay people. until the Japanese came along and or the Spaniards came along and fucked everything up. Uh, and but they were Malay, but they had to adapt to a slightly different climate than is Malaysia, which is uh, is slightly further south. Did you know that when the Spaniards took over the Philippines, they would not let the Filipinos learn Spanish? Many of them did anyhow, but it was forbidden.
It's a continuation of the story about how knowledge is sin.
You guys, I gotta go. It was really nice checking in, and I hope to be back. And Sam, I would like to talk
Okay,
when you
cool.
get
All
time.
right,
and
Stacey.
and by Stacey,
Yes.
Claude did what Claude does. It heaped all sort of psychological bullshit on you,
Well,
which
I
is
had
what.
already told him that I use music, and I already told him that I use initials instead of words to allow room for people to intuit and use their own intuition. And I already told him that I was using this. This is a program for people who believe in STEAM as opposed to STEM.
Yep,
So
yep, 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 yep.
that was the important piece.
My
Okay.
son commissioned Claude to write a song
He's
uh,
not
for
good at it.
his uh, uh, for his mother's dog.
Was it good? Because I
Oh,
haven't found I
it,
haven't
it, it
found AI to be as good as people, except for the
um,
one that my friend Claire did.
this one is beyond awesome, and but eh, his mother shared it with me, but then asked me not to spread it around because she has ideas. And I'm guessing she's thinking she can get it on the pop chart. It is that good.
Wow, nice. I'm gonna set something. Actually, I'm
Well,
gonna see.
lots for us to follow up on then, it looks like. Because just Stacey, before you go,
Yeah.
one of my last themes that I've been introducing over the last several weeks and months is rather than rail at what is happening in the world, it's how do we build a new society around 5 or 6 core elements. And one of the core, which I think everybody sees, although the implications of what I'm saying are more than what has been discussed publicly, is to really, really value education at the core of a new society. And that means different ways of telling stories, different ways of introducing science, different ways of interweaving different aspects of science and telling the story that weaves those different domains, like physics with astronomy, with chemistry, with art, with music, with
Yep.
biology. And those stories are what let people understand the relevance rather than having stupid people say stupid things like, I don't use algebra. I don't need algebra in my life, you know, which is a sign of bad education and bad understanding and, really a lack of good education. But that also means that we have to reimagine what teachers and teaching is and really empower them to do the right thing. Because right now, teachers are afraid of certain subjects just like those students are. And students of teachers who are afraid of math will be afraid of math. And that's one of the worst sins possible, in my view. But anyway, That's only one theme, and there's several others. The other one, which I've also been talking about, which you may have heard me talk about, is eventual transparency. So five or six of these key elements, I think, in my view, have to emerge in strength in order for a new society to be just and fair, and for us to really be that plentiful, that abundant with a new society. So just want to whet your appetite for some of the discussions that have been taking place here recently. Over.
Well, I'm totally interested in the first one. As a matter of fact, well, actually, I'm sending you another one right now. As a matter of fact, like I would say this is a teacher training program. In a lot, I would say a teacher training program is a good way to describe one of the ways I would describe this. And I just sent you another picture because it is based on math and science, but it's the math and science underneath Barry Court's work, like going in a different direction. And it's that's why I told Claude I was a radical girl living in a material world. It really goes to the origin. So while Ginger Rogers said she was working backwards and in heels, I'm working backwards and barefoot. So I sent you the last picture, and I will talk to you soon. Love
All
you
right.
guys.
Good to see you
Bye-bye.
again, Stacey.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
And just for the record, that picture I have put now in the Zoom chat. Power, protect, provide, problem, pros, primary. Kayla, I don't think you've even had a chance to check in, and Stacey's already
No,
gone.
I didn't. It's been
I
like
know.
45 minutes.
52 minutes.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Well, it's too bad. I guess you guys will hear what I have to say. It's a really good story. Um, and I think it ties into what you were saying about like teachers and stuff. One of the things that we have to do is learn how to connect with each other too, yeah, before we actually, kind of go into the step of having shared values and being in line um, with one another. But my story has to do with my dog and my neighbor. And so early this week, just to give you context, I'm always outside with my dogs out in the front yard. We have a fenced front yard. There's two signs, one that says warning, there's dogs in the yard. That usually keeps people away. And then the other one on my gate that basically says, do not open, there's dogs in the yards or whatever. It says, but I'm typically either outside with the dogs or I'm right by the door at my desk. And so, anyhow, when I have three dogs, and Indy's the old man that barks. So he usually barks at all of the people. Eclipse is my, youngest husky, and she barks at all of the dogs that go by. And then Rocky doesn't bark at all, but he's the one that will like protect the space. So when I hear Indy bark, I usually go out and see who's there. When I hear Eclipse bark, I usually go out and stop her because she gets all crazy, and that means there's another dog that's walking across the street. So it was, I think, Tuesday afternoon, mid-afternoon, or early afternoon. I don't remember when. I was doing work. I'm pretty sure Indy was inside. I didn't hear any barking, but I did hear somebody saying, "Oh, hi doggies, hi doggy," and it just didn't click to me because typically Indy will bark, but he's deaf and he was probably sleeping somewhere inside the house, and so he didn't alert me to this person. And so I immediately jumped up when it just dawned on me that somebody was coming towards the house, and I hopped to the front door, and sure enough, Rocky had already bit the neighbor from across the street. The neighbor stuck his hand, over my fence to pet Rocky, and Rocky bit him. And I caught it right at that moment, of course. And so the guy pulls his hand away, and his hand starts bleeding just a little bit, not necessarily from an actual like, bite where it punctures holes, but from like pulling his hand away from scraping. And so he was just like, "Oh my gosh, your dog bit me." And I was like, "Yeah, he bites. I wouldn't put my hand over the fence. Like, why would you do that?" And anyways, he was like, "Oh," he kept saying like, "Oh, your dog bit me." I said, "Yeah, don't put your hand over the fence. Why would you do that?" It was the second time I said that. He was like, "Well, I didn't know." And I'm like, "Well, now you know, unfortunately." And then he says, "Well, my caregiver said that you had some food for me, and I just want to invite you to my kitchen." And I'm like, "I don't have any food for you." And he's like, "Oh, really? So who do you think has food for me here?" And I'm like, "I have no idea. I've never spoken to your caregiver whatsoever." I was like annoyed. And so he was just like, "Oh, my hand's kind of bleeding." And I'm like, "Yeah, it is." He goes, "Do you think I should wash my hands?" And I'm like, "Yeah, totally. Go and wash your hands," right? And so he left. So a couple of days later, or yesterday actually, I opened the door to let my dogs out, and I see animal control in front of my house. And so I was like smiling, and I was like, "Hey, what are you doing here? Why is there animal control? What's going on? What happened?" Right? And he goes, "I was responding to a complaint by your neighbor. I guess one of your dogs bit him." And I'm like, "Yeah, he stuck his hand over my fence." And he's like, "Oh, yeah." And then he goes, "Well, because I see that, your dog's not in trouble. He's clearly in an enclosed area, and he was only protecting his property. But per the state of California, we just have to notate the citation and put your dog on a 10-day quarantine." And I'm like, "What?" It's like, punishing the homeowner and not the intruder. And he's like, "Yeah. And so he asked me for like rabies shots, and he asked me for a license, which I have. And so I gave that information to him, and I'm all like, "Well, what is the meaning of this? Like, why would you do that? Since he has his rabies shots and all." And he said, "Well, it's just basically, it's never guaranteed that the dog is actually never going to spread rabies. So we just want to make sure he's got like a 10-day hold, and there aren't any behavioral incidents." And I'm like, "Yeah, but it wasn't really my dog's fault." He goes, I know, I'm really sorry." And he was very nice, very apologetic. And I said, "Is that guy mad?" And he says, "No, I think he has dementia." And of course, a part of me is like, "Damn it, I could have just lied and said it never happened." But anyways, he ended up like saying, "Yeah, I think the guy has dementia." And in fact, like it took a couple of days for us to come here because we didn't know which dog bit him. We just knew that a dog bit him, and it was his caregiver who told him. So I was pissed. Okay. And I go on Nextdoor, and I'm writing what I want to say, which is basically, people are stupid. We've failed dogs. Like, why would you fucking put your hand over the fence? And of course, like me being a kind person, I said, I really shouldn't post this. And instead, I ran it through AI, and I said, "What do you think of this?" And so AI says, "You're absolutely right. You should be feeling this way, blah, blah, blah. But here's something that would elicit responses that would be more sustainable for you." And so I ended up like cutting and pasting a very nice educational piece on that we should remind ourselves never to stick your hand over somebody's fences, because even well-intending dogs, very, you know, what is it like? Yeah, well-intended dogs, calm dogs, sometimes they get reactive. So it was an educational post that I stuck on Nextdoor. So I put that post on, and let me tell you, that post blew up. I have 192 likes. I have like over 60 comments, and they were all generally positive. And most of them were actually written by older women who are white. And I actually appreciated that a lot, because I never know how Nextdoor is going to react. I always know that it's like fodder for like usually older people to just complain and complain and complain. And if I want to humor myself, I go on Nextdoor, and just laugh at the drama. But I just felt compelled to write something, and I just loved the response. Everybody was so nice. they were like, thank you so much for educating us. Like, there are idiots everywhere, but you actually were very positive. And in my head, I was like, you have no idea what I was thinking at the moment. What I really wanted to write was not positive. But it just goes to show that education and kindness goes such a long way. And it really made me so happy. So I was responding as best as I can to a lot of people who wrote the comments, whether I said yes, whether I like, you know, related to them, whether I added some more explanations. Most of them, actually all of them, were like, I side with you. You're the one who didn't have a problem. One of them even said, you should give your dog a treat. And I just thought it was really beautiful. But there are two incidents where it just really made me so happy. One of them was this woman. Again, you can see their profile. You can see they're older white women. She was like, I would love to be your neighbor. I can just tell that you're a kind person, and that you're really responsible, and this is not on you, and good for you. And then another one was this other woman who said, I was the kind of person that ran up to dogs and pet them without owner's consent, and I really appreciate that, you actually educated people. I finally got it. I finally got educated, and I appreciate people now, doing this. So I just wanted to put it out there that it just reinforces, people do want to be kind to each other. People do want to be educated. It's just an angle of that which you take. And I know I was probably speaking to a certain generation because most of them, like I said, were older white women, and it just made me go, "Wow! I wonder how many of these people are Republican." I wonder how many people have these implicit biases. And I wonder how you can actually kind of get through, because this is the first time I've ever received overwhelmingly positive responses from a generation, and a constituency that I'm not used to receiving positive responses from. So that's all I wanted to share.
Could I ask a stupid, very stupid question?
Yeah.
In your next door profile, are you evidently non-white or Filipino?
Yes. Yes.
Ah, okay. That to me was important, actually.
Yeah. 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 It and in everything that I'm going through right now, and Jack, I know you have to go. I'm really sorry that it took 8 minutes for me to ramble. um,
No
feel free.
worries.
Yeah, feel free to chime in or leave. It's okay. But yeah, with everything that's been going on, you guys know I've been job hunting. Jack, I don't know if you know this, but I've been getting very discouraged because I feel like when you're talking about race and ethnicity, it really, really, really doesn't matter. But I do feel like this is the fourth time I've actually been runner up. I got rejected from this job that I was one of two again contenders for four times in a row. And people, when I've looked at who actually had gotten the position, they were always younger white people. And it just makes me think like, okay, I do see that the boardroom is full of white people and leadership is full of white people, except for this one organization where it had a black man in the top. And again, I was like, you know, number two for that one, but the person who actually did the hiring, like that, when it came down to it, she hired the young white lady. Um, and so it's really discouraging. And I wrote something on LinkedIn about implicit biases, and that people just don't want to be, people will do what makes them feel comfortable, right? And so this, even though it's next door and it's a small petty post, it gave me hope. Like, there are well-intending, well-meaning people. I just, have to be myself and look at different angles on how I connect with them because they're not all that bad. And I can't get mad at the guy across the street, even though I am, because he's got dementia, and it's frustrating too. But I love these small experiences because they remind me so much that there's a lot of good in this world, and you know, people just need to hear it more.
It's a good story. And yes, I must leave, but I like that story.
Thanks, Jack.
All right, Jack, hopefully we can pick up on this or other aspects of what has gotten some airtime today, tomorrow.
Um, Copy that. See you all.
Okay. That is a good
I'm
story.
I'm gonna say
Actually,
this now. I'm very disappointed that I got no. It took me 45 minutes, and it always happens. Even when I'm in leadership meetings, people talk too much, man, and it just bums me out. I'm like, have you no consideration? There might be somebody else in the room that might have something cool to say. Anyways, I just have to get that off my chest. But go ahead. It has nothing to do with your moderation. If anything, it has to do with kind of timing and consideration, because I can be that way as well. But we all have to be mindful, especially if people have limited times. I mean, look at what you're missing out. Stacey missed out on this conversation, and I'm pretty sure she would have loved this conversation. So anyhow.
yeah. As you know, I try and moderate with a light touch, and sometimes, the fine line of discernment is different for each of us.
Yeah, it's totally fine.
Yeah.
You know me. I'm a
Yes.
bold person.
Well, I also got the sense that, Stacey hadn't been here for a while, so she was full of
Yes.
things that she wanted to share.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why I stayed silent.
Me too. And by the way, my experience with Nextdoor has never kept me in Nextdoor. You know, my
Yeah.
experience is number one, there's a whole category of posts about lost dogs or pets. Okay.
Yes.
And then another whole category of posts about, hey, there's a stranger driving by slowly. Do you guys recognize this truck? Right? Right? You've seen those, right? And then there's one category that I kind of like, which is, hey, where's the best place for pancakes in so and so neighborhood?
Yes. Yeah.
And now there may be others, but man, I see a lot of these three categories.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't go onto Nextdoor very much.
Yeah. I get my alerts, so that's what keeps me there. And of course, if I'm bored, I can look at all the drama and laugh about it. So,
It's funny.
if okay, so you do know that in my county there is, people don't really like the Humane Society of Ventura County, because it's under new leadership, and the new leadership fired all of their humane officers. Um, and anyway, they didn't take me to the next step because I supposedly didn't have managerial experience, but whatever. If if I see Daniel again from that place, I'm going to give him that suggestion. Like, if you want to save face with your constituency, which is a bunch of old white people in Ojai, that's what it is. These people have money. Then you're going to get them by spreading kindness and being proactive in your education, because they're tired of all the politics, and they want to see these success stories and see that you're actually helping. because I feel like boomers can really get entrenched in the whole negativity of things. And they're very kind of simple-minded at this point, but he would probably be really successful if he led with education and kindness.
I'm really glad for the outcome because it could have been different.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, there's one idiot that said put something in that wasn't even that bad, but he put solution to dog bites is buy a Maltese, and I'm all like, oh, okay.
Well, then I'm going to chew him
I
out because the right answer should have been golden retriever. I mean, every idiot knows that.
right? God. And I have to say, he was a middle-aged white man who wrote that comment. So it's really interesting. I don't know. Sometimes I like to have fun with life.
You know, it's whimsical. I think Stacey would enjoy this next comment, but what if every confrontation or disagreement, especially between Putin and let's say the US public, how about if every confrontation would be settled by a dance-off?
What? Oh my gosh.
I mean, other than the fact that it would be unfair because you would win every competition.
Yeah, not really. Not at my age right now,
Hmm.
or my limitations.
But something whimsical like that, all right, anytime you have a disagreement, let's say um, you pick your grandkid, you pick the other grandkid, and then whoever's wins at checkers wins the argument or something
Yeah,
stupid like that.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
You know, because if reason could work. But if reason can't work, we're gonna have to pick something stupid like that.
Mhm. But it's not stupid. It's sustainable. Laughter is sustainable.
Yeah.
It fires the, what is it? Oxytocins. I keep
Mhm.
wanting to call it Oxycontin. But it fires up some like much needed, wonderful hormonal receptors or whatever they're called.
What are all the four? Serotonin, dopamine,
Yeah,
oxytocin, and what's the other one? There's at least another one.
yeah. It's very rare that you see people these days really that aren't middle-aged hippies, or crunchy looking moms. Seeing older women, and and men. You don't really see too many men, and I honestly didn't see too many who had posted on my comment, but you don't see too many people saying, keep spreading this kindness, keep spreading this education, and we need to see more of it because it's really encouraging. And you don't see anybody being accountable like that one girl who wrote like, yeah, I didn't know any of this, thanks for letting me know. You see dissonance, you see, these supposed educated points, you see people supposedly doing their research or telling other people to do their research, you see such divisiveness that I think that just sucks people in and just gets them stuck. And that's where we're at as people, we're stuck. We've normalized being rude, you know, um, we've normalized being so serious. And now we're normalizing like um DEI to be, oh, let's just put like one or two, let's just put a Mexican and a black person in management. Let's stick this, Asian person on the cover. Okay, now it makes me laugh. It kind of made me laugh. And, I know it made the administrators uncomfortable when I was asking. I said, so how is your, constituency? Do you guys have like a really healthy, what was the word I used? Are you guys diverse? And they're, oh yeah, we're totally diverse. I was like, oh, cool. So how many Filipinos are here? How many Asians? Like, what's the population? I think like 1%. And in my head, I was like, how can you call that diverse, dude? Is that diverse? It is still overwhelmingly this much and this much. Like, to me, it just makes me laugh. Like, that is not diverse. Diverse is at least 50%.
No, it's diverse when we have your one token Filipina.
Yeah, right? It's not even diverse when you say there's Mexicans and whites. That's not diverse. That's Mexicans and whites.
Oh, speaking of which, did you do the fun exercise I suggested a couple days ago?
No, I did not.
Did you go onto the
Sorry.
eGain website and look at their management team?
No, I didn't want to laugh my ass off, dude. Sorry, I don't know why I think it's funny, but it is reverse racism, which isn't really funny.
Well, one of the very earliest questions I asked Jack early on in this conversation was about his blood pressure. And I was surprised it was as low as it was because I don't know if you know, but I've mentioned that my blood pressure has been high for decades, probably 2 decades.
Oh man.
And it's always been above 140 and probably 100. I would say the last 20 years, 140 over 105 is probably about as normal as I got,
Wow.
which is considered high for most people. So last Saturday, a week ago exactly, when I saw I was at 212 and 170, I had never seen it that high before. And I know that's quite extreme. And so, for 2 decades, I've been taking lisinopril and amlodipine at various different doses. But when I was in the hospital, one of the doctors said, well, let's add labetalol to your uh, what is it, slate of, I don't know what they call it, your mix, your cocktail of drugs.
Mhm.
And within 2 days, it got below 140 and 100.
Wow.
And so I said, to them, hey, I've never seen any other drug have this quick and significant an effect on my blood pressure because it gradually kept going down. So when they said, after a day of consistent blood pressure readings below 140 over 100, they said, okay, here's we're adding this to your mix of drugs. And then that was what allowed them to release me. So
Wow.
that was Tuesday night. And this morning, I'm going to send you a screenshot. Okay. Let's see what you think of this screenshot. Hang on.
Mhm.
I'm going to get you this screenshot right
You
here.
just reminded me I need to take my pills. I forgot taking them this morning because I don't have any coffee. Usually I
Okay.
take my pills first and then I have my coffee. So
Okay. So are you able to see the chat in Zoom?
mm, it hasn't come up yet,
All
but
right. I'm
oh,
going to send
it's
it to
coming up.
you in Messenger also.
Wow. 120 over 68. Now I see it. No need.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good
I am
job.
shocked. I am shocked at what this thing is doing to me.
How do you feel?
Well, I don't feel any different blood pressure wise, but I'm sure
Hmm.
it's supposed to be much better for me. and my heart's probably working, not quite as hard. Um, so I'm hoping that this labetalol has a lasting effect and that, you know, doctors won't be quite so confused about why my blood pressure is so high.
Yeah. Yeah.
So here's my hat off, not that I wear a hat regularly, to this thing called labetalol. Never heard of it before.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a little surprise that I never expected to see ever
That's
again in my
great.
life.
Yeah.
So here's the case where, Big Pharma is probably helping me. Can't rail
Yeah.
against all of Big Pharma.
Well, you
Plus,
could
of
always
course.
complain about the fact that they are um that they're hoarding money, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't even know. They're probably making buttloads of money on this. Yeah.
Yeah. But it does help. So there you go.
Yep. Anyway, my next order of business is I gotta start clearing off the room downstairs. Oh, let me also say one of the things that's actually been really nice for me is just seeing how fierce my daughters are about this whole episode in the last
Yeah.
week.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
I see a lot of anger from them, and I know that that anger is because they care about me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And that was a nice realization that I don't want to lose.
It's wonderful to be loved, isn't it?
Hmm. I mean, I know abstractly that they love me, but it was from a distance for way too long. And
Yes.
I'm trying to close that distance now.
Yes, absolutely. Because that's all they felt they could do at the time, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
It's hard when you see people that you love making decisions that you know are not good for them. You want them to learn on their own, but you're always worried for them, and so you stay away because, that's all, sometimes that's all people can do is just like love you from a distance. And when you realize that, it's such a beautiful thing.
Also, for the record, I really have to acknowledge my ex-wife because she's been driving
Yeah.
me everywhere. And she says, she's not going to leave me alone. So I feel like I have to be babysat. Otherwise, my kids will be mad. So, because she's bored out of her gourd here, she's been like, helping me do laundry and clean up some of the dog
Wow.
fur. Yeah.
Now, would you do that on your own? Would Gail help you with that?
Yeah, I've always done my own laundry. I've always well, I vacuum the floors, twice a year, whether it needs it or not.
Yeah. So Gail never did your laundry.
Well, a long time ago when things were going well, which is eight,
Yeah.
9, 10 years ago.
Dang.
Not recently.
8, 9, 10 years ago. Wow. That's like the minimum, you know. I mean, I haven't really been in healthy relationships either. Um, but I did at least clean and do the laundry and like help with domestic stuff. I wasn't always the best cook, and when I was, you know, what my ex said about me being a bad wife had a lot to do with our connection. our sexual connection and our just connection as husband and wife. And it really stemmed from my inability to articulate how uncomfortable I was about his behavior, his the way he approached things, like his anger issues that he always denied, how he held himself as a dad and a man. You know, the man that I actually fell in love with was educated. He was funny. Oh my God, he was so funny. It was like, you know, not necessarily like being in love with a comedian, but along those lines of humor and just beautiful education. And I lost that once I got married to him. And to this day, I still don't know what changed. And maybe I'll never know. But, anyways, the best I could do as a woman, as a wife, was to try and, you know, execute my domestic duties as best as possible. You know, I thought perhaps too that loving our children would be a stepping stone to get him closer to me, because that was something that I believed we shared. But again, that's when love isn't enough, because love from somebody else isn't the same, you know, as love from yourself. It's like you can't expect everybody to love the way you love. And you know, it was really sad, because that's was what I was hoping, is that he shared the same love of our children the way I did. But no, he wanted to be honored as a man, and I couldn't do it. Best I could do was his laundry.
I am speechless because I have nothing to say. You know, my history with relationships, whatever I say, do the opposite.
You know, it's good too to love yourself. When you love yourself, you don't, and you realize what you've been missing out, um, you start to protect that. And, you know, entering a decade of peace that I have now, I don't want to let go of that. And I really don't think that it's a bad thing to, you know, I always believe that if, you know, if and when or if I get another, you know, boyfriend or partner or whatever, um, they're really going to have to love me for who I am, because I can never let go of, you know, the person that I've become. And I want to protect that person, because I don't know, for the most part, I actually like myself.
Yeah.
And I don't ever want to put up with some of the shit that I put up with ever again, because it wasn't good. It didn't allow me to be a good mom. It didn't allow me to even be a good employee. You know, I was always job hopping because our marriage was so bad.
You know, I'll tell you a little interaction I had with my doctor yesterday when I went in for the follow-up checkup. This is the
Uh-huh.
doctor I've had for about 10 years, you know, a little tiny Vietnamese doctor. I've told you about her before. Anyway, she said, "You always do this to me. You know, you go and you take care of yourself, you take all your medication, and you're really good. You get to be, you know, healthy. And then, you know, 6 months or 12 months later, stop taking your medicine, and, you know, we have to start all over again." And she looked at me and she was like, you know, just a foot from my face. Said, "Why do you do that?" And I just said, "I stopped caring."
Yeah.
And I promised her now that I've seen, you know, my kids rally around, that things can get better again. I said, I'll never take it lightly from here on out. I'll take my health seriously.
Yeah.
But, you know, she really asked me, and I answered her honestly.
Yeah.
And I honestly am changing that. Because literally, I got to go pick up my meds in November of last year, but I never made myself sit down and put all those meds into my toe boxes and start taking them. So I've not actually taken meds since November up until this incident last Saturday.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
you really would have died.
Well, I answered her honestly. I had stopped caring.
Yeah.
But now I want to live in that better future. For 1 day, 2 days, however long I can manage it.
I used to say that our kids make us better than we want to be.
Yeah, maybe that's true.
That's 100% true for me.
And my daughters can be fierce. They both told me off in no uncertain terms.
Oh, I would have loved to be a fly on the wall. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Sam, but I might have cheered them on if I did.
Well,
You tell him. Uh-huh.
there's a fantasy in my mind that, you have a certain professional background and my daughter Amy has a certain professional background that in the given right circumstance, you guys might be able to do something together.
You know, there are a lot of jobs in Washington that I've got to like decline because I don't live there. And, you know, Max is in such a good place here and it makes me so sad. But like the fantasy I have is that I have this place and then I have a place somewhere else. Like a part of me now is like, I'll take any place. But I do pay attention to Washington because they have like the Native American stuff there, they have the environmental stuff there. There's even an executive director position that I'm fit for. And the location of their office is in the Olympic National Park. And anyways, you know how happy that makes me? And it's been really frustrating because on one hand, people are telling me, you know, just go for what you want. Your kids just want to see you happy. On the other hand, I just feel like I can't do that to Max just yet. And even Damien. Like, I feel like I just can't do that to them just yet. And I really should develop the courage to reach out to some of these employers and just say, fuck it. You know, like, hey, I'm in California. You know, I'll be more than happy to like travel a couple of times a month, you know, and in a couple of years I'll be able to move. But you know, please take a look at my resume because I'm very, very interested in the job. And let's have a conversation and see if that this could happen. I mean, I should just develop the courage to do that because, you know, like fuck it. What am I to lose, right? But yeah. Um, yeah, maybe sometime soon I'll come and visit you again. It'll
Yeah,
be
it'd
nice
be
and
great for you two to
stress
meet.
free.
By the way,
Yeah.
I came across a little factoid, and I hope it's correct, but I saw this past week a graphic of all the states and the percentage of citizens in those states with bachelor's degrees. And Washington State, I was surprised to find, had the highest percentage of citizens with bachelor's degrees.
Wow.
I thought Massachusetts would actually beat us out, but I was surprised. Either that or I just read it wrong. But yeah, Washington looked really good from that standpoint. Better than California, better than Massachusetts, better than a number of other states.
Yeah.
So I didn't ever know that in such factoid form, but I guess it's another part of the reason why I like being up here in this particular state.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, maybe if we can like, what is it, dream a little bit. When your tenant is gone,
Hmm. Hmm.
I could move into that property.
Hmm. Well, like I said, the lease is till December 1.
Ah.
See? For my own very selfish reasons, I want you to get a job that pays 3 times what you're making right now.
No kidding. I want that too, dude.
I want you to pay me that nice exorbitantly high rate of rent.
Yeah, right? My God.
Yeah.
Just happy for that expiration date. December 1 sounds great. May Christmas come early for mom,
That'd be cool.
right?
Give me at least 2 months notice, okay? Because I gotta give notice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
just say,
know.
hey, on such and such a date, I finally got my job offer. They're gonna pay me 250,000 a year. I'm blah 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 blah. You can fill in the rest.
Yeah. Well, another good news, Max is actually reading consistently now. Like, he doesn't
Uh,
complain as much. He's been like reading for at least half an hour straight. I kept him on half an hour. And then maybe I'll inch it to 45 minutes. But he has been reading past half an hour. So that tells me that he's actually into the books that he's reading. So if he still wants to be a lawyer, you know, at least he's kind of going to that space where he's going to have to read a lot. Now, the comprehension portion of it, I'm not quite sure, but um, I'm always emphasizing like you will be so invaluable if you know how to fucking read. I mean, like really read. You know how many people don't know how to read? Or they do, but they just don't have the wherewithal or the tenacity or like the longevity to actually like sit and read a book for hours.
okay, so let me ask you this, okay? Does he have
Uh-huh.
friends with whom he can actually just be in the same room with them, both reading, not interacting with each other, not playing video games, but just both reading for more than an hour? Has that ever happened?
I don't know because his friends don't come over.
Or, if you know that that happens elsewhere. Because I think that, okay, so when I hear you say, and I'm going to sorry about this because it's going to sound critical, but
Yeah.
to me, half hour doesn't sound like enough.
Mm.
Now,
Okay.
I know that might sound positive given where he has been,
Yeah.
but I'm just trying to figure out ways to excite him about actually reading, for extended periods of time where he just loses himself in a book
Yes.
instead of watching the time and say, oh, I'm at 29 minutes and 30 seconds, 30 more seconds, and I can go do something else. That would be the
Yeah.
wrong attitude, in my opinion.
No, no, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
I know. Small steps.
Sorry to be, that critical, but I was just concerned when you said, um, I mean, it should be a sign of progress that it's more than it was, but I'm sorry, it was just a little bit of a surprise to me.
I know it's a sign of huge progress. Just a
Mhm.
couple of
Okay.
months ago, he couldn't even read for like 10 minutes without complaining and getting upset.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
Now, I
sorry.
probably
I'm
didn't
sorry
give
for
you
how I
that
come
context.
across that way then.
Trust me, not too many. And I know that, unfortunately, I do know that this is very common among kids his age. They just don't have that. Even my oldest one, he just doesn't read. Um, you know. So yeah, I've had to increase it to 15. I've had to increase it to 20, and we go week by week. We've given him like some reading tasks, and he answers them. Now we're trying to get into his depth, like because we've been asking him things that are very abstract and he isn't quite there with the depth yet, but he hasn't really had the opportunity to really understand what, or been given the voice to advocate, for instance. or formulate his own opinion. He hasn't been given those tools yet. They don't really teach it in school, unfortunately. So, yeah, all of this, it is surprising, I'm pretty sure, especially somebody from your background. But, you know, I do live with Max. So I see like his progress, and, you know, I have to um, give it to him in a comfortable way, to where he's ready for the next step and push him, you know, or encourage him, to where it's sustainable.
Can I explain a little bit why it was a surprise to me?
Yeah, totally. Please.
Because I know that you had thought it very important that he be an AP English.
Yes.
So the fact that he was an AP English and the fact that he didn't read more than, I don't know, I guess 15 minutes a day was
Uh-huh.
really, really uh, uh, a surprise to me that both of those things could be true.
Can I tell you? Can I respond?
Yeah, please. Sorry. And
I
I'm really sorry for how critical this sounds. Okay. I apologize.
it's okay. Um, I that was probably my fault. I didn't consider the two. Because to me, English came kind of naturally, and then I realized like how much I didn't realize the reason why I was really good at English is because I read a lot and I
Yes.
paid attention, you know. Um, and all of that came very natural to me. And so when Max showed that English was one of his strong suits, I didn't even take to account that he doesn't really read on his own. He's a strong writer, but as far as like reading and any of those complex things, he doesn't really do it. So I actually, I think at first I was like, oh, he doesn't need a tutor. I don't want to shoulder that expense. But now I realize how important that expense is, because I do want him to succeed if he wants to be like a lawyer, um, if he's holding on to that. And I do think that like the tutoring will help, because there's only so much I can push him to do. He's going to have to, number one, want it on his own, and number two, get pressure from another source. That's where, like, I feel like a second adult, you know, would be fantastic. It's where I feel like parents, plural, becomes like a really strong force in assisting their children
Mhm.
to independence and independent thinking.
So does he read an ebook or does he read an actual physical book?
He actually reads a physical book.
Okay, so that's actually good. Have you taken him down to Barnes and Noble or some other bookstore and said, hey,
Let's just
uh,
browse.
yeah, I made
No,
a
that's a
deal
good
with each of
idea.
my kids when they were
Uh-huh.
young that I think starting when they were just getting alphabet, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the deal was you finish a book, I promise you I'll buy you another book. And they were really that way all through school. So
Uh-huh.
the kids would finish a book and I would buy them another book. And that really became fun because then that was an opportunity to go to Barnes and Noble or to browse an online selection of books. And then it's an actual activity you can do together, which is fun too. So
Yeah. Yeah.
not that would apply to Max, but having a physical book means you can actually make an outing of it.
Yes, I agree. And I do love Barnes and Nobles. And Damien used to go there on his own. And I think that's another reason why it was easier for him, is because that was him and his ex-girlfriend. That was one of the things they did. Every weekend they
Yeah.
would go to Barnes and
Yeah. They
Noble.
have that little cafeteria thing or coffee shop. That's kind of fun
Yeah.
place to sit and just browse through books too.
Ooh, you know what I should do? I should encourage Max and his friends to do that.
Yeah. See? Turn it
He
into an
actually
outing.
Yeah, he actually has a really good new set of guy friends who are LGBTQ as well. He always calls them the gays. I'm all, who are you talking to? And he's like, the gays. And he actually, can I tell you a little story about
Okay.
Max?
Yes.
So he has been under pressure lately with his hip hop class in Ventura. And his hip hop class in Ventura, he's the only guy. And so I think I told you that a lot of the girls love on him and he doesn't like it, you know. They invade his space, they all that good stuff. You know, the seniors kind of bully him. So I addressed all of this with his hip hop instructor. And she, you know, temporarily remedied it. So we'll see if he actually, when he tries out, if he actually decides to join the dance group. But he did confide in me that his gay friends, he trusts them a lot more. Um, you know, I feel like number one, they aren't girls, and you know, I'm a woman and I get it. Girls can get crazy and gossipy and clicky and weird, and you know, we love gay men, right? But the second thing is he actually finally has a group of, you know, male friends who are the same as him, and I think that it's great. And some of them are actually go-getters. Like last night, he went with a friend to go see a movie, and that friend actually was just going to go by himself to see a movie. That friend actually is part of the school site council. That friend is somebody who is not afraid to speak up. And he's also LGBTQ. So I think that it's such a healthy relationship that he has with these new set of, you know, male friends because he identifies with them and they're all like, you know, they all contribute to the friendship in like a different way, but in a very bonded way.
Hey, on a slightly different angle, does Max know who Pete Buttigieg is?
Who?
Buttigieg is?
I'm sorry, can you say it one more time?
It's a hard name for me to pronounce. Pete Buttigieg. I think it's Buttigieg. Max should get to be a little bit familiar with Pete. I'll put the name in the chat and I'll let you figure out why I suggest that.
Somebody just texted me. I'm making some adobo, sinigang, and lumpia at home tomorrow. Do you have time to come over and enjoy these delicious treats? Who
Oh,
the
yeah,
fuck
yeah.
is this, dude?
Wait, somebody you don't know just texted that to you?
Yeah, it was just a random 816 number. I'm gonna go look it up.
Too bad.
Hi.
Anyway, hey, I put the name in
We're
the
leaving at
chat.
10:30.
So I'm hoping you at least do like 20 seconds of follow-up on that. Okay.
Yeah, me
I
see.
think that'll be
Max
good
is actually
something.
right next to me.
Okay, give that name to Max and ask him to just
Pete Boutig
do
Boutigig.
Buttigieg. Yeah, just
He
ask him
said,
to do 30 seconds worth of research on him.
do 30 seconds worth of research on him per Sam. By the way, Sam wants us to live in his 5-acre property. Did you hear that?
No, I did
I'm
not.
not living all the way over there, even though it's
What?
fucking awesome. He's like, I'm not moving into Ventura. So I guess it's just going to be me and the dogs.
Well, when he's in college, he'll have his own life, just like Damien's starting.
Oh, trust me. You know, I know people are like, you're going to miss that. And I'm so sad. And I'm just like, I'm not. I love my kids, but I am not sad.
Uh,
So, what did you say you got going on today?
Well, I think I have a gardener coming who he's going to do my backyard. It's been a while,
Nice.
so I gotta get ready for him. I think he's due at 10, so in about 12 minutes.
Ooh.
And then I gotta go start organizing the room downstairs. various and sundry activities. Oh, I got it. Finally arranged a junk removal service to take all the excess furniture out of here. You know, logistics.
Nice. Wow, Sam. So what's the downstairs going to be? You're going to rent it out?
The plan is to see if I can separate this house into two separate rentable units. Because one would be a 4.5. No, sorry. One would be a 4, 2.5, and downstairs would be a 3 and 2, each with its independent entry.
Wow.
Yeah. If I
I'm
can do
surprised
that, that would be good.
surprised none of your kids want to live there. I mean,
It's very remote,
yeah, I
and
know.
young people don't seem to want that as much
Yeah,
until
isn't that weird?
they want to
Until
be
what?
close to
I'm
things
sorry.
like, bookstores and coffee shops and, clubs, barber shops,
Clubs.
who
Ew.
knows? Bars.
Oh boy. Bars, right?
My
I'm
son
happy
goes to
that
bars. That bothers me, actually.
really,
Yeah.
I know, but he was didn't he join a fraternity?
Yes. Yes. That
So
bothers me so much. I
for
don't
a
like the
frat
fact that
boy.
in this society, so much of culture is built around alcohol.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's said. You and I have spoken about that before.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
What's your plan for today?
Well, I'm going to at 10:30, I finally have my makeup on. So at 10:30, we're gonna leave to go to Sinopolis in Westlake Village. And then I'm gonna have let's see, our movie starts at 11:30.
Oh,
So
right.
that'll give us
That's bad.
about 20 minutes to enjoy some food. Um,
Just out
so
of
there's
curiosity.
this
Oh, sorry,
uh-huh.
go ahead. I thought you were done. Go ahead.
No, there's this actual theater has like the it's almost like couches where you can sit down and it's very big and it's spacious and you actually have like a wait staff getting your food
You
and
mentioned
you
that.
could just like yeah. And so, in spite of the fact that it seems like there's a lot of people, there really isn't a lot of people.
Just
So,
out of curiosity, since this is totally outside my experience, how much does a ticket to that experience cost?
$20.
20?
Hmm.
I mean, that's not much more than a regular ticket then, seems.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So they probably
Yeah.
expect to be tipped very well and the food is expensive then.
Yeah.
That would be my guess.
Yeah, probably.
I guess you'll be lucky to get out of there with less than $100.
Yeah, I know. I'm hoping to. I got Max with me and he hardly eats, so there's that.
Oh, sounds fun. That sounds like a California kind of experience.
Yeah, it is a total California bougie Westlake Village experience.
This dog wants to be picked up.
Aww.
Okay, now I've got dog blanket on me now.
Yeah. What else are you doing today?
Uh, I think if I can focus on those two things, I don't think they're going to be, the room's going to take, I think, longer than a day. Right? So I think I'll probably be occupied with that most of the day.
Yeah.
But it's been a long time since I took the dogs for a walk, so I want to take the dogs for a walk today.
Nice.
Mhm. 3 of them, because my daughter's dog is here because normally he's with my ex-wife up in Bellingham, but she's here now, so I've got 3 dogs here now.
Yeah.
He's the least alpha male dog I've ever encountered. He's a beta male.
Yeah.
You
Rocky
know,
thinks he's an alpha male, but he's not really an alpha male.
between Helios and Gaia, they're brother and sister. I think Gaia usually gets the better of him. That is more
Yeah,
like the tomboy.
I see
And
somebody was.
Helios is just a little sweeter.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you again, Kayla.
For?
You're a good friend, helping me out, calling me on my bullshit
Aw.
at times, putting up with some of my, unrequested criticism. Did it come across that way?
No, it's okay. I didn't take that as too offensive. You just didn't know. You just didn't know the history. So that's okay. No. Did I tell you that there's a possibility I might actually have a second job coming up soon? And I was actually recruited by somebody in my VCLA. Um,
Man, these things just
unfortunately,
always materialize.
yeah, I have 3 interviews this week. We'll see. This one, I like
Mhm.
it because it's actually run by people of color. There's a
Mhm.
Colombian woman, several Mexicans, one white
Well, I think
person,
you have
Asian.
mentioned this possibility, didn't you?
Yeah,
Last time we
yeah.
spoke.
Now, unfortunately, it's kind of like United Parents, but it sounds like they actually have money to invest in
Mhm.
structure. And
Yeah,
so
and this is
that's
where
what
you would actually hold both positions at least for a while, right?
yeah, yeah. Let's see, if they hired me like, let's say tomorrow, then I would start full time at the end of June. But
Mhm.
I'm guessing that the hiring process is probably going to take like a week if things go in my favor and the executive director just doesn't want to hire, just doesn't want to go through the hassle of finding people online and all that good stuff. But she's willing to pay at least a significant amount more than what I'm getting paid. Now, the unfortunate part about it is Melissa hates this woman.
Yep,
And their
I recall.
programs,
You told me about this. That's right.
yeah, they I was looking into their programs and they're somewhat similar, but they focus on gang violence and then they also focus on school, like after school care. So the mental health well-being of school students. So they're not necessarily like they do have government contracts, but they're government contracts with the school and not counting contracts with behavioral health. So they're hoping to get contracts from the school because I think they're up for renewal. And she said that it would be like a significant amount that would assist with their organization. But the same thing, like they really need diverse funding. And so hopefully she actually set a very ambitious target. And of course, I'm a little like taken aback by that target. But hey, if she wants it, I'm going to be realistic with her. Like, yeah, we can shoot for that target. But we really, really need that structure. We need, a grants database system. She already invested in a CRM. So we need that. We need marketing because I'm not going to start all over again the way I did with United Parents because we're still printing shit on our own. We're still printing our address on labels. Like we don't even have like our own, envelopes with our logo and everything. And that to me has just been kind of dragging me down a little bit.
Well, hey, hopefully you'll have an update on that tomorrow.
Yeah, I hope so. So on that note, um, it's 1 minute till 10.
That's right.
Shall
It
we
is top of hour.
shall we end?
Yes. Well, hopefully we connect again tomorrow.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Have a good
All
day.
right. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.